Okay, so we're going to move on to segment 4 then. Okay, so someone had asked about the batterer. Well, here we go. This is segment 4 is how to spot a potential batterer. These are the warning signs we want to try to instill in young people. Okay, so one of the couple of them, I'm not going to say there's an order to them. Uh, I will say one that's not on here at the moment that I'll start with is a controlling behavior. Okay. I had mentioned this before a lot at the meeting on Thursday, but uh, if we say controlling, I'm sure we can figure out somebody that comes to mind in our mind. Okay. But let's add some more things to that: lies, bossy, greedy, stubborn, impatient, conceited, unfaithful, knowing it all, inconsiderate, criticizes you, makes you scared, does not trust you, not understanding, jealous, possessive. Okay, so let's just even we could take out the makes you scared, and let's just go with the ones I just said, except for makes you scared, because that would should be a red flag, really red flag. But let's just go with we could all figure out we might know some people like that, right? Lies, bossy, greedy, stubborn, impatient, conceited, unfaithfulness. I'll even take that one out. Let's just say the person's very faithful. Let's just say lies, bossy, greedy, stubborn, impatient, know it all, inconsiderate, criticizes, period. You and anybody else. Okay. So right there, that could be the very beginning. And I'm sure young people, young adults, they could see that. Okay. Then let's add some more. Let's go back in now and adds criticizes, like we said, makes you scared, doesn't trust you, uh, abuses alcohol or drugs. That one may or may not be there. I don't want to say that because that I don't want to say that everyone abusers are all like that because they're not. Uh, and has a bad attitude about women, uh, intensive, insensitive to your feelings, has to always have his way, always make decisions, tricks you with nice behavior and unexpected, unrealistic expectations. Okay, so those things we could kind of take out some of the ones that should really be red flags. And these things we kind of could know people that fit these molds. So where does it all change? And I think it changes because this person has a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde attitude. They're one way on the outside, another way on the like inside the home or inside your relationship. Let's see. Also starts, breaks objects, bad attitude. Like we went over that. Makes you scared. I mean, makes you scared. Really should be that. Makes you scared. You shouldn't feel scared in a relationship. There is no fear in love. Okay. I know the quote, and I'm trying to remember it. I think it's from 1 John chapter 4, verse 18. It says that, perfect love drives out fear. Okay. So if you don't have perfect love and you're fearful, then you're not perfectly in love yet. Okay. So if you are fearful, there should be no fear in love. Okay. So I think that's the big thing to take away from this. And then, also, controls money and stuff. And I think that's more deeper into the relationship. We're trying to get these people, I'm trying to build what a high schooler or someone that's not married, what this person looks like. Okay. Uh, so if you want to know about the signs of abuse, we could go to the coalition, the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, and they have it here. And it says the red flags: extremely jealous, possessiveness, unpredictability. Okay. So if they're extremely jealous, then that's when someone could do serious harm to somebody because they're extremely jealous. Possessiveness, you're all mine and no one else can have you. Again, a recipe for possibly serious situation. Unpredictability. You don't know what this person's going to do. Okay. Uh, these three words really are scary to me. If you if you look at it from the other end, the other spectrum, maybe not in the beginning. You may say, okay, he's jealous, extremely jealous, so he must love me. possessive. Oh, he really wants me. He's unpredictable. Oh, we do such spontaneous stuff. Okay. Or it could be the other extreme. Okay. So you got to be careful. Anyway, have a bad temper, maybe verbal abusive. These go into to me more, I feel. I know they'll say they're pre-battering characteristics, but to me they fall in there already down that road, unfortunately. We don't want that. We want to get them right at the very beginning. We want to discover this. Okay. So you may want to ask yourself some questions. I asked you, so we went over some of these before. They may be repeats. Is he impulsive? Does he make you feel uncomfortable in any way? Is he persistent and insistent after you say no? Does he watch other women while he is with you? Does he make negative or sexist remarks about women? Does he blame anyone else for his problems? Okay. So those could seem pretty harmless depending on your answers. Okay. Who are the abusers? Well, abusers, men who batter their wives and women, they care about, they come from all social economic statuses, occupations, races, religions. There is no like defining characteristics of them. It's all over. And not just occupations, we could say even education levels. So it's not even, oh, that's the second part. Yeah, they come from all different types of educational levels, okay? And it says here, there's a strong evidence that violence is a learned behavior. Approximately half of all men who choose to use violence to resolve conflict establish dominancy or control over others and are exposed to violence in their childhood homes. Okay. Uh, Such a background does not excuse their actions. It's important to remember that the use or avoidance of violence is an individual choice that these men make, while half of these men choose to be abusive. The other half, exposed to the same violence, do not choose to be that way. Battering is seen as an intentional act used to gain power and control over another person. Power and control are central to the entire system. The batterer believes that as a male, he has certain rights and entitlements in the relationship with women. Okay, so batterers, feelings that batterers may have feel of being exposed, guilty about not treating his partner and family with kindness, not controlling his temper, embarrassment. Okay, and these are all shown as sign as weakness. Okay, I'm gonna skip this one. I guess I better go to it. It's a domestic violence shelters. It's about the batterer. Okay, yeah, let's go to this. This is a good one. Okay, so I actually have a video for y'all to watch. Okay, so this is the profile of a BB user. Hopefully you can hear it. Can you hear it? Okay. All right. Gotta get back now. Something pops up. Sorry. Thank you again. All the way down the end. Okay. So in there, I want to say something. I remembered I have attended a 40-hour accredited course entitled Pax and Familia, and it described the fact that I thought it was a neat perspective, was that there it showed like a diagram, and it shows like the family, and it's a circle, and in that the circle, uh, there is the family and domestic violence say, okay? Then, and this is kind of how it determines, the risk factors basically. Then if say the culture in which, oh, no, say the school in in the community, that they actually, let's say school is not a good school, okay? That will then cause, will be increase their chances even more, depending on what type of school that they're involved in, okay? And then it's the community around it, okay? And how is the community? If there's gangs and if that it tends to feed into it. So it's like a layering effect. Okay, so think of it as a layering effect. That what happens is that depending on how many other scenarios are playing into this may determine. The other thing I was thinking about it, and I don't know if there's any research out there, but I feel like it's a also I would think it also has to do with the type of person that they are, like a personality that they're born with. And I don't know if there's been any studies with that. Uh, so I was just curious about that, whether personality plays into it at all. And of course, you did see that there are some mental health issues as well. So I still struggle with that myself, understanding all of that. So what would you see from the signs of domestic violence? What would you see from the batterer and from the victim? Okay. So from the victim, what you may see, and this will say like we're in a church setting, you may see someone that's very has apprehension and and anxiety. Okay, is very anxious, could be irritable and restless, withdrawn and inhibited behavior. They may have inappropriate responses, immature or otherwise inappropriate behavior, confusion or disorientation. So those are probably some of the signs that you may see from somebody, say, with interacting, say at church or friends or family, not even friends or family because you know them too well. I'm just saying somebody that you may not see very often that you're going to see. I mean, you may see more of that. I would say maybe inappropriate responses may come to mind when you are talking with somebody. Behaviors you may see from the batterer, maybe overprotected, attempted to answer all questions directed towards the victim slash mother, extremely jealous, lack of concern or over concern one way or the other, being reluctant to allow the woman to be interviewed privately, maybe canceling, rescheduling appointments, attempted to maintain contact with the mother at all times, like kind of concerned on what she might say. Okay. So we are still going to go back to going over some more of the batterer profile. So again, it says here, not all men who batter display all characteristics listed. For example, some batterers are extremely good providers. Some have been brought up in nonviolent homes. Some are well liked. Some don't have. Some are not well liked. Have few friends, but some are. Some do have a lot of friends. A few are. A few are mentally ill. But most battered men who batter will display 10 or more of the common characteristics. Okay, so this is some of them. Okay. So, like we were telling you, controlling behavior, extremely jealous, quick involvement, unrealistic expectations, isolation, blaming others for problems, blaming others for their feelings, hypersensitive, verbal abusive, mean personality, rigid sex roles, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde personality, cruelty to children and animals, playful use of force and sex, verbal abuse, rigid sex roles. I went over that one already. Previous abusive relationships, threats of violence, breaking objects, and arguments during forced during arguments. Okay. So these are some of the characteristics. Okay, so a red flag should go up, 10 or more of them. I'm not saying that they have, I think some of the ones that if they're making threats of violence, and I don't know if they could, if that could be the only thing, or, that would be a red flag in my book. Like some of them, I just think that they're just red flags, period. It doesn't matter how many they are when you get to, I'm saying maybe those beginning ones, sure, but not some of the others. Okay. So let's see. I went to this OB hotline. Let's see what they have. Here we go. Is it impossible? Oh, Outer Banks hotline. Cool. Is it impossible to spot an abuser before getting involved? Okay. And again, some of this stuff, a history of abuse in one's family or past. The person may not tell you that. I mean, even if they did tell you, maybe they may be lying about it, right? You not may not know that. I would say what you could see on the outside without being, looking at the behavior, lack of appropriate coping skills, low self-esteem, codependent behavior. Let's say those are the things I think you could see from the outside. And then this is good. Things that make you go, maybe I should check this out. Self-righteous instead of humble, quick to blame others instead of taking responsibility for their own actions, apologetic without changing harmful behaviors, lies, pressures you to move fast in a relationship or pushes for immediate commitment, been abusive. Like I said, maybe we don't know that. Let's just discount that. Is continuously jealous or possessive, may isolate you from family and friends, has a violent temper, quick mood swings, uh, is cruel or abusive. Again, these are maybe later on. Doesn't listen to you when you try to say no. Okay, that whole persistent, insistent behavior. Okay, so good information there. I think this bar keeps coming up. Oh, goodness gracious. I'll go back to this. I'm sorry, y'all. I can't get that bar down. I don't know how to do that. Okay, so uh, the thing I wanted to stress with that is, uh, again, we want to try to know the warning signs ahead of time so that we don't get into situations. Uh, Not to say that this happens over time. Some of these characteristics, like I said, I think are later on into the relationship. So especially like threats of violence and things like that may not be something you see right off the head. And by the time that you realize it, it could be too late. So then you're not able to uh, do anything about it or feel like you could do anything about it. Okay. So because you're afraid at this point, you've been threatened that if you leave, he will either kill himself or someone else. Okay. Including you. Okay. So this is a good tool. This one thing about the batterer and categories of danger. And this one is actually going to be in the, I can't find anything. This is an older one, but this is where you could tell whether, I'm going to refer to a page in the manual now. So, how do you tell whether it's serious harm or is going to be done or could be done? Okay, so let's say there is an episode and there was pushing. Let's just say pushing. Okay, a fight, and they were pushing each other. Okay, so and I'm going to show you. I'm actually going to show you a video about that shortly. But so how are you going to know if this person comes back and says, "Hey, you know, I'm sorry. It will never happen again. I don't know what got into me. Uh, It's just never going to happen. You don't have to worry about it. Okay. So category 1 is the least dangerous batterer. Category 1 has no previous violent relationships with a woman. Again, you may not know that because they may tell you that, but you don't know that. They have no premarital abuse. They have external triggers. That means that um like they went off about something that specifically happened. Okay. Um, Isolated violence. Okay. And that would be that one pushing, shoving match. Okay. Um, their probability of homicide is low. They've used no weapons. They've had great remorse, and then their prognosis would be good. Okay. Now, it says that what would be recommended is if the batterer falls in category 1, the choice for the victim would be that a safety plan may not be needed. Okay. Individual counseling would be recommended for her and for him first. Then, after the change has been made and it's been, both parties are on board about healing, then marriage counseling would be recommended. But we never, ever recommend marriage counseling for victims of domestic violence because the victim cannot be there with the abuser and feel that she can speak open and honestly about what's going on. So they can never have that. Okay. The only time marriage counseling is recommended is after both have been through individual counseling. Okay, first. Okay. So, and this is the type of person that's motivated for change. This is the type of person that would want to do better, would want to never, ever do this again, is very motivated for change. These are the people we can help. Okay. These are the abusers we can help. And I'm not sure how we find them. I'm not sure, where in the church, obviously I mean, if you base that number, 30, what is it? 30% of all women across the whole United States. That means we have to have batterers in our church. Okay. So, definitely, but these are the people we want to help. Okay. Now let's go to category 2. Category 2 is a person that has experienced some violence in relationships with women prior to the one that they're in. Some premarital violence, okay? Has internal and external triggers, okay? An internal trigger is, say, a buildup of events in their head, okay? Uh, and um, and and so like a building of events, and the external is the events on the outside. Okay. Has sporadic violence, like maybe they had one fight and they were pushing and then they didn't have any for a while and then they had it again and then it was maybe he grabbed her, things like that. uh Moderate probability of homicide, okay, and some use of weapons. In my book, I don't if they used any weapons whatsoever, I really feel like that should be a category 3. But okay. Limited remorse, the prognosis is guarded. Okay. And so for that, what is recommended is definitely a safety plan for the victim, physical separation, frequent review of the safety plan, individual counseling only. I don't even think that there would be any marriage counseling at all. Okay. And support groups that are recommended. That's for the victim. For the batterer, it's individual counseling, support groups, mandatory batterer program, which is court ordered, and it would be a 6 to 12-week treatment program. Check up on a behavior every 6 months. We would also caution that uh, that change would be needed. You know, how often we need to see change and may respond to treatment. Reconciliation should be based on his behavior. And if he doesn't complete the treatment program or commits another violent act during that time, the relationship should be terminated. Okay. That's what this. Now for category 3. This is all previous relationships with women have been violent, frequent premarital abuse, internal triggers, guys going off left and right. There's no rhyme or reason for what he's doing. It's just total. And then chronic and symptomatic violence, like it's every fight that they have. Okay, and then frequent use of weapons. Guys on it has a gun and he brings it out. Okay, no remorse, and so their prognosis is very poor. Okay, that for the victim is safety plan, uh, physical separation, a protective order is in need. I'd almost recommend a protective order, possibly with number 2. Review the safety plan, individual counseling and support groups. That's for the victim. Also says no, not safe to remain in the situation. This is where you'd probably say, get out. Okay, but you wouldn't say that. You would say that in your mind, she should get out, but you would tell her that you would give her this information and you'd let her to decide. Okay, that's how it would be. This is what you would do. You would give her information, your recommendations. She ultimately needs to decide. Okay, so I thought that is a very good idea of who we want to try and target is those first category of batterers. Okay, so what, in addition to number 3, category 3, or category 2, or category 1, I mean, even if they've never had a weapon or anything else, I mean, like I said, you don't know the point in which they're going to snap. And so we have the assessing whether batterers will kill and threats of homicide or suicide, fantasy of homicide and suicide, depression, weapons, obsessiveness about a partner or family, rage, drug and alcohol consumption, and pet abuse. There goes that pet abuse again. I have it's a danger assessment. I probably shouldn't go to this again because that thing's back up there again. Let's see. We got here is questions. Here we are again. Has the abuser ever threatened to kill you, your children, your relatives, or him or herself? Has the abuser experienced ideas, expressed ideas of dreams, fantasy about killing you, your children, relatives, him or herself? Has the abuser obeyed one or more threats, daily, monthly? What are the threats? Is there availability of weapons? Has there been a use of weapons, of guns or knives? Has the abuser ever used his hands or objects to choke, strangle, or suffocate you? Does the abuser have a history of arson or threats of arson? Does the abuser express ownership of you? You cannot leave me. If you leave me, I will do this. Have you has there been separation violence when you were separated? Does the abuser depend heavily on you, idolize you? Um, does the abuser stalk you, taking you hostage, abduction? Is the abuser depressed, seeing little hope for life? Has there been an increase in the abuser's violence or risky behavior? Has the abuser physically abused you while you were pregnant? Does the abuser frequently use alcohol or drugs? If you see any of these risk factors in your relationship, please reach out for help. Okay? So they're saying any of them. And so, yeah, challenging for sure. All right. Sorry, I got to go back to the same way I was doing it because I don't know any better. All right. Okay. So, lots of information in that and lots of questions to ask. But there's ways to do it. And that's what the intervention and resource training will go over. is, and we'll actually get this in the next segment, and how to actually ask those questions and actually kind of build on them. You know, you wouldn't necessarily want to scare her right off the bat. You want to try and build onto them and get her to think ultimately. Okay. So yeah, we would kind of build on that going forward. So I think that pretty much for now will wrap up the concentration of just the batterer. But let me check to make sure. We will go back to that very shortly. Um, okay, I'm going to end with why. I'm going to go back to that question. Why women stay in the abusive situation? Remember, I had said that before. That we're going to get back to this on why. So the biggest thing, and you'll see that in the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, they say it's fear. Okay, so fear is one factor. Love is one. For the children, like that one question we saw. Economics, okay. Guilt, shame, embarrassment, religion, denial, low self-esteem, commitment to marriage and relationship. Okay, so those all are reasons why. And for now, I'm not going to go to the actual links because I don't want to keep going back. This little bar doesn't disappear on me, and that's a little challenging. But we will finish with watching this video. And I'm going to go over the material first. And so this way, if I can't get back, I'm good. Okay, so those are the reasons why women stay in an abusive relationship. And then what can you expect if you leave a violent partner? Okay, and this goes over, they will attempt to locate you, apologize, uh, threats of intimidation, um, use of the children. Uh, Also, they will kind of beg for you to come back. Uh, and they may say they even will go to counseling. Okay. And abusers have been known to go to shelters to go to all lengths to find their, um, their victim. Okay. So, want to show you this. I know sometimes it takes, uh, TV to kind of, and also celebrities to kind of bring attention to a situation. And this situation is domestic violence. And I want to show you this video from Ray Rice. He's an NFL player, and his fiance that happened back a while ago.
Vicious punch, a woman unconscious, a football player under fire, and all the signs of an NFL cover-up.
What they're telling us now sounds like BS. This story reeks of corruption.
TMZ Sports obtained the video that reveals everything that happened between Ray Rice and then fiance Janae Palmer at an Atlantic City casino back in February.
So what happened is the two of them were clearly arguing outside the elevator. They walk inside the elevator.
And immediately, Rice slaps her. She moves towards him and he hits her hard,
knocking her into the side of the elevator. She cracks her head on the handrail, goes out cold. She's on the floor.
Rice drags her out, dumps her body in the hallway, and tries to revive her just as a dude shows up and says, is there a problem here? Eventually, she woke up, and a month later, Ray and Janae were married. Seriously. But
the real issue is not Ray Rice. The real issue is the NFL.
Well, as a result of knocking a woman out cold, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell did suspend Rice for 2 games.
The punishment was preposterously low, which the NFL has come out and admitted that it was way too low.
The NFL says they didn't even see this video until today, claiming the police refused to show it to them.
What about the casino? They know the casino.
Okay, so what I like about the video is that there's actually men getting excited about the situation. And sometimes I think that's what it needs. It needs the attention of other men, calling other men out that this is wrong. So that's one thing I like about the video. They're basically calling out saying, the NFL didn't do the right thing, and they should have went ahead and definitely encouraged for them to basically come back with a harder penalty for it. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the video here, and so we can talk.